Hi, and welcome to CryptoBiography. I'm your host, Brandon Starr. This is episode 431 of CryptoBiography, and it's part 4 of The Spotter. And here we go. He got there early again on Wednesday and spent almost 2 hours doing last-minute scoping and preparation. In the end, it still seemed safe, and so he waited by the hot dog stand, having bought a can of soda so that he wasn't just wasting the hot dog stand guy's time and sipping on it, looking around carefully. It being nearly noon, his heat vision had almost no effect, being mostly overwhelmed by the brightness of the daylight and its higher energy photons. Right at noon, he saw someone approaching. It was a woman, or at least he assumed he was. He couldn't see the face, but the hat was large-brimmed, completely gray, and of what he could only think of as a sun hat style. She was wearing it pulled down tight on her forehead, with the wide brim and forward-tilted head. He couldn't see her face at all. She must have made him out from across the square and was coming up to him using his clothing, keeping him in her vision without him seeing her face. She seemed to be a bit shorter than average, and though it was warm, she was wearing somewhat baggy clothing that disguised her form. He guessed that, regardless of how she looked under that, she must have had some strength to climb and hang out in that tree and make her escape. This all assumed she was actually who she said she was. It didn't make sense to him that she might be coming at him with a weapon, but that didn't mean it couldn't be true. He didn't drop his guard. He did drop his can of soda into the recycling bin next to the stand. "Hello, Guy," she said as she came up to him. She had a fairly deep voice with a bit of a rasp. If she had an accent, he couldn't tell. It sounded like standard West Coast American to him. "Hi there," Guy said. "Nice to meet you." He stuck out his hand, and to his surprise, she shook it. Her hand was gloved. She tipped her head up, and she was wearing both sunglasses and some kind of KN95 mask. Her skin seemed to be olive, what little he could see, and she had dark hair, probably black, though most of it was tucked into her clothing and only a few strands were free, and they were under the shade of her sun hat. "Can we go sit in the shade over there?" she asked. She was pointing at a bench that was indeed shaded by a nearby tree and happened to be free. "Sure," Guy said, and they went over and sat down. "So what is your purpose?" he asked. "First of all, I was impressed," she said. "Not everyone can spot me when I'm trying to stay hidden. In fact, it's only happened twice before you. I did some research, and the word is that you have excellent night vision. Is that so?" He was not ready to go into the details of his heat vision with a stranger, so he simply said, "Yes." "And you spotted me behind you, despite you being busy with other activities." It wasn't asked as a question. "Yes," he answered anyway. "I try to keep my head on a swivel in such situations." This reminded him that, despite his thinking he was probably safe, he may not be. He had on sunglasses and looked around a bit to see if there was anyone suspicious. "Would you mind if I told you something, Guy?" she asked. She had not taken off her hat, sunglasses, or mask. "Not at all," he said. "Go right ahead." "Jonah Stapleton works for me. I use him as my straight, white, male face when I'm trying to keep things quiet." "Is that so?" Guy said casually. He wasn't sure if it was true, but even more, he wasn't sure what to do with the information, whether it was true or not. "I have him close by," he can confirm. She texted someone on her phone and said, "He'll be here shortly." Shortly indeed. In less than a minute, Jonah Stapleton was walking up to them. He stopped a couple of paces away and was looking at the woman in the gray hat. "Jonah, do I use you as a public face when needed?" "Yes, you do," Jonah replied. "Do you have any questions for Jonah?" she asked. Guy couldn't think of any. "No, but I'm not sure why you're bothering to tell me. I would do the same good job whether I was working for him or you." "I believe that. It seems you aren't sexist or racist, at least not in any serious way. And while I do use Jonah to run interference for me when I'm dealing with racist or sexist businessmen, which is practically all of them, in this case I was using him because I wanted my involvement in making my new house secure secret. So it wasn't meant as a reflection on you." "Okay," Guy said. He wasn't insulted, but he didn't see where this was going either. "Jonah, I think he understands the situation well enough. Please give us some privacy." Jonah Stapleton, assuming that was his name, Guy thought, walked away, and Guy confirmed with a few glances that he had soon gone out of sight completely. So what do you want, Ms.? No names for now. I'd like to learn more about you and what you're capable of. I'll just call you Ms. Chapeau, then, if that's okay. She chortled. Sure. What are you hoping to learn? Mostly I was hoping to learn how you really spotted me. He paused. I looked back and I saw you. I have excellent night vision, I've heard, she said. I just can't quite bring myself to believe it. I was using night vision goggles, and I could see you well enough to tell you had no such equipment on. You spotted me with your naked eyes. How? And that's the end of the story for this week. If you have any comments or questions about this episode or previous episode, cryptobiography@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Blue Sky, and thanks for listening. Words of music copyright 2025, Brandon Starr, all rights reserved. Characters and events are fictional, fictionalized, or satirical.